but they are all professionals in the same field. So we really thought that somebody like you, who is in the senior most position in India of ASME, we can get some additional knowledge about it. Is he here? He has chopped. Mr. Sharma, are you in? If it is connectivity, there is some issue.
He's, I think, out.
Let him come. Then I...
Yeah, okay.
There is some issue with his network. So Sharma, are you in? Hello.
He should be answering. He's inside.
No, but
yeah, he's written a chat.
Yeah. Okay. So today we have interaction with Mr. Madhukar Sharma. He is the president of ASME, and I will just tell you about his qualification. He is a graduate mechanical engineer and MBA in international business. He is currently the president of ASME India Private Limited, a wholly owned subsidiary of ASME Holdings in APAC region, Asia Pacific. His role is to grow the ASME initiatives in India in the academic, research, and industry sectors to promote the art, science, and practice of engineering profession. Prior to ASME, Mr. Madhukar Sharma has worked with TUV Sud South Asia Group, SGS, Geneva, and HMT Limited. He carries 30 years of diverse industry experience in manufacturing, supplier quality engineering, quality system auditing, and standards development, and certification in machine tools, mobility and transportation sector, wherein he has to his credit over 35,000 hours of product inspection and testing, process and product audit based on ASME, BS, DIN, GIS, ISO, and SAE standards. His work assignment made him travel widely in India, Southeast Asia, and Far East countries. He is a certified welding inspector from American Welding Society and International Automotive Task Force lead auditor, 2002 to 2008. He now serves as a contributing member in the several international working groups of various pressure technology, nuclear, manufacturing standards of the ASME. So welcome, Mr. Sharma, and it is really a pleasure to have you on in our IIP lecture series. Indeed, we will be enlightened by your knowledge in the field. Since I am also in certification for a very long time, maybe your standards are different, our standards are different. So first, Mr. Sharma, you just tell about yourself, and then, of course, about ASME. Then one by one, we'll take up the questions. Over to Mr. Madhukar Sharma.
Thank you, Mr. Ashok Yadav, and dignitaries on the screen. It's an honor and pleasure for being invited to such an elite forum of engineers. Well, talking about my experience and my expertise, I think I'm surrounded by even more experienced and knowledgeable people around me. So um, uh, saying more about me would be kind of an overstatement. I think you have said read quite much through my summarized bio. So sharing briefly about my um, association with the ASME, I joined as a country representative for ASME in 2008 over from my um, quality engineering assignment with TUB for 11 years. And since then, I've been associated with ASME. At that time, ASME did not have any subsidiary, any legal entity in India. At that time, it had only ASME Europe and ASME China as the representative offices. Going forward, the role for me was to build the team and then serve very close to the markets of ASME, specifically India. So, and today we are a office which has 11 people distributed across the country, and primarily we operate out of Gurgaon. They're resident executives in different parts of the country who do perform different kinds of activities, lead different kinds of initiatives of ASME, which I'll share in brief. So primarily, ASME is known for its standards development, and that's how the genesis of this society was back in 1880. It's been over 140 years since this society has been in existence. It came up, its genesis was as a result of several series of boiler explosions that happened because of sharing of plates. At that time, we used to do riveting of the plates for the boilers as such. So overpressure conditions caused the metal to give away, and then there were no rules written for construction and operation of these pressure equipment. And it's then the government brought an ordinance to form a material society, and that's how ASME started as a material society in 1891. 1901, it started. The committee started writing the rules, and 1911 was the first published code, that is Section 1 power boilers, that came out. So it celebrated the sanitary year in 2011 for the power boilers code. It's been over 100 years that this code is still relevant, updated regularly by the committees, by the volunteers who work round the clock, whole year, meet regularly to make the code, to keep the code relevant with changing face of technologies, materials, and practices. So that's the most visible face of ASME, especially to you all as engineers who have 4 or 5 decades of working with the codes and pressure equipment. You all hail from plant engineering background, and more than me, you are exposed to ASME codes like ASME and other BS codes and DINs and JIS codes on these pressure equipment as such. Even our own Indian standards and the competent authority rules and regulations as such. So, but then ASME is more than today, standards and a certification organization. Standard certification is its oldest, profession, serving the society, keeping the equipment safe, writing the rules. But then it was formed as a society to grow the profession of engineers, the profession of engineering. So, and then the thought process was very logical as such that the initiative of writing the rules or codes that has started. Who would shoulder or take the baton going forward once the committees, the people who are behind it get old and then the committees members phase out. So someone should be there. So there should be a pipeline or growing crop of engineers, capable engineers, passionate engineers who would continue to spend their time out of their day jobs in keeping these codes relevant for the safeguard and betterment of humanity. That was the underlying thought, and then society formed its vision to invest whatever it got as a revenue or a surplus from selling these codes, conducting certifications back into philanthropic initiatives, supporting students, early career engineers, professionals in advancing their professions, professional development of those, increasing their knowledge, either through reading the content, trainings, and then meeting on neutral platforms, conducting technical conferences, writing papers, submitting for peer review to be published in journals. So all these kind of activities emerged as the society grew. So today, society, is kind of a kind of go-to organization for mechanical, not only mechanical engineers, but many allied engineering professions like biomedical engineers, bioprocess engineers, who are very closely associated with core mechanical engineering trades or equipments, or professions as such. So we have a focus on, leading a very strong focus on, helping students grow in the profession, get the practice side of engineering, get the sight of that, learning by doing. So a number of programs on extra co-curricular nature, which encourage them to do engineering focused prototyping, development, design, even design thinking approach, are being conducted by ASME. Because of the pandemic, the society had to go virtual. So these programs are being done digitally, but all these years until 2020, we were doing these programs right on the ground in the universities. So one of the biggest programs of ASME with the students, that is Eifest, Engineering Festival, happens in India every year. So this year, again, we are celebrating it digitally, but then from next year, hopefully everything will be back to normal, and then we'll have confidence to go back on ground where engineers will meet, young engineers will meet amongst themselves. Different students come from the universities, faculties come from the universities, get together to do something, see for themselves how well their engineering principles they have learned can get applied, see success, see themselves failing, see them winning, and learning from engineers from the industry like you, who come as in experts or mentors, to meet them, listen to them, interact with them. So all happens over there. So likewise, for the early career engineers, these programs are curated very differently, giving them path of profession going forward, how they can foresee themselves 10 years from now, how they can map their careers. For professionals, it's a different need society serves. Professionals, senior professionals, mid-career and senior professionals have learned quite much that they are in a position to transfer that knowledge to the younger peers. So they come in as speakers, authors of case studies, papers, in technical conferences of ASME. So, and our role in India is to replicate these initiatives in India and help community group themselves according to their groups of interest and help themselves, facilitate them, get them focused into doing certain things that are learning by sharing, and then creating knowledge for everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Sharma, for the ASME, and I'm very happy to know that you are a very lean organization. Only 11 people, as you told me. So the name is very big. People are very less. I don't know how you are
No, this
handling it.
is this is the India strength. Back in the US, it's about 400 people.
Foreign.
Yeah, so we work as a team. So it's like US and India now work in tandem. So when they sleep, we work. When
Yeah,
we sleep, they work. So it's round the clock.
because I am just comparing with BIS. We have a strength of about 600 officers, and total strength is more than 2,000. So that way, I feel you are very lean and a focused organization. So that is good background you have given. What I know that you are pioneers in boiler and nuclear certification, and you have developed a lot of specification on this. So can you just elaborate on that part? That front?
As I mentioned, ASME boiler and pressure vessel codes are the the first of the series of codes that ASME started developing, and the historical reason also I just shared while introducing this society. So thereon it went on, developing codes on other components that go inside the boiler, outside. But then within remaining within the pressure boundary. So whether it is piping or whether it is, the valves, so these equipment also came in. Into picture, and then the size of the boilers. So the small boilers came in, section 4. The FRP came, which required very different kind of an approach. So section 10 came out. Section 5, section 2 were materials specifications. As they grew, so it's like it's more of an administration of standards, like you would be doing in the BIS. It's everything, containing everything into one single code becomes difficult at a point of time. So you create another, book or an ensemble of specifications. So section 2 came out. Section 3 was, with the advent of nuclear, subcritical nuclear rules started uh, being written back in 50s. And so section 3 has genesis in nuclear component design and construction. So once that happened, the reactors started getting old. So about 15-20 years later, the society or the engineers started realizing that we need to write rules on in-service inspection of these nuclear components. So section 11 came out. So gradually, these codes started evolving. And then many other hardwares and non-pressure items also, the society felt the need for writing these codes, whether it is handling equipments or cranes on the port, escalators, elevators. So different series of codes started emanating. So today society has about 600 plus codes, I should say standards, and some of them have been converted as codes, meaning when the legislation requires a standard to be mandated, then it becomes a code. So that's why for the boiler pressure vessel, which is mandated by the jurisdictional authorities in the US for installation of these equipments and operation of these equipments. So these standards are called codes or nomenclatured as codes. So some of these standards are codes, the rest are voluntary standards. And India is, I think, one of the most prolific users of boiler pressure vessel codes. So it has these codes, categorized into 4 different, classifications. So pressure technology codes is one, nuclear codes is the second classification. So there are a number of codes in the pressure technology codes, like BPVC 1 and BPVC 8, BPVC 4, and then B31 series, B31-1 for power piping, B31-3 for process piping, B31-8 for cross-country gas pipelines, and even city gas distribution system, the low pressure piping. We have now B31-12 also coming, the hydrogen piping or pipelines. That's pure hydrogen now, because of use of hydrogen is now being envisaged as a good alternative to fossil fuels. Blended hydrogen is being talked about in many countries, including our own country. So RPM has given a call for ensuring ways of using hydrogen, at least 10% of hydrogen into the gas pipelines. And there are no rules for operating the pipelines with hydrogen, in them, and it's a challenge to contain a hydrogen atom within the pipeline or a vessel because of its small size and different thermodynamics it poses. So now the societies, the committees have geared themselves, getting reorganized into different focus subgroups, into writing rules for hydrogen blending into the pipelines as such. So a lot of discussions, use cases are being submitted to for the committee to see, understand, and then have a dialogue, debate, and take decisions. So so this is how standards development happens. And then third is safety equipment. So safety codes where escalators, elevators, cranes, handling equipment, hooks, lifting hooks, these all components come into or codes related to, or standards related to these all equipment are categorized or classified. And the fourth is standardization and testing. So standards like geometric dimensioning and tolerancing, so Y14 series, they get under standardization and testing categories. So if you look at entire 600 codes, they would be in these four categories as such. Yeah.
One of the thing, sir, you said that these ASME codes are as per the US laws, correct?
Yes.
How do you compare with the IBR, that is Indian Boiler Registration Act? Means those rules, and how means Indian manufacturer, what are the advantages they get if they get ASME certification?
Well, IBR refers ASME and other codes as alternatives for design. But then IBR has its own additionalities, which are different from these codes. So from the legislation point of view, if the boilers are being manufactured in India and used in India, and even manufactured outside and brought into use in India, IBR is the authority. Yes. But then IBR takes cognizance of these codes, that if these equipments are designed according to, let's say section 1, or a non-boiler component, which is pressure boundary oriented as section 8, then it accepts, provided there is a correlation, provided to satisfy the IBR rules as such. So IBR rules must be complied at all times as such. So IBR would supersede these codes in some places as such. So for example, in case of seamless piping, requirements, so those are peculiarities, which one has to take into mind. The advantage of using these, codes, ASME codes, is that these codes are regularly updated. And for a manufacturer or for a design engineer, one of the biggest challenges is suitability of materials, and then availability of these materials and accessibility of these materials. And from competitiveness, the design of the vessels, how lean I can make a vessel without compromising its safety. So because of the nature of updation cycle these codes have had, these codes undergo change every 2 years. So all the changes that have happened in the last 2 years comes out as a new edition. New materials get added to it, and so from an industry standpoint, if you're a maker of boilers, it's easier. It gives you more room to play and then design your vessel, without compromising its safety, economizing it, making it more lean, making it faster, making it more competitive. So, and then it gives you more material sourcing options.
Correct. So, what now we are really looking, suppose somebody is a manufacturer, maybe boiler part or a pipeline, how he should approach to ASME for getting his product or process certified? You certify product or process?
Both, in fact. The conformity assessment, as ASME calls it, the certification process goes through the initial review of quality control manual of the shop, which the shop prepares in assistance with the authorized inspection agency of ASME. So there are several authorized inspection agencies of ASME. They have offices in India, like Lloyd's Register is there, or HSB Global, is there. And then there are some organizations that have license to operate as AIA partners in India, like Dewey India was having a tie-up with One Beacon. I'm not sure whether it still continues, but last I saw it was there. BBQI also has an arrangement with one of the AIAs in the US. So they have authorized inspectors and authorized inspectors supervisors, which are qualified by the national board, which is a separate entity independent of ASME. And these people act as overseers while a shop starts writing the quality control manual. And then once this documentation is there, they assess the shop into implementation, whether it is writing their procedures, writing their WPS, qualifying the PQRs, or establishing the PQRs, training, qualifying their welders, making the practices for construction, right from purchase of material to the finish, or what we call as final testing, or the hydro testing of the boiler equipment or pressure equipment. So it's a preparation phase which they have to do with the authorized inspection agency, and then authorized inspection agency helps them apply to ASME. ASME has now a digital platform called CA Connect, so Conformity Assessment Connect, which is available for the for any manufacturer to log on and then start the certificate application. If you permit me, I can just share it on the screen, showing the ASME website, where it is and what the process is actually. So if we have,
okay, you can go ahead.
So I'll just share it for a couple of minutes, and so if you can just enable sharing, then I can share my.
Roy, he is the co-host. Yeah, you are the co-host. You can directly share.
Yeah. So can you see the screen now?
Yeah, we have just seen this.
Yeah. So this is certification. So on the asme.org site, this is the certification and accreditation tab I had pressed. And in this certification tab, this particular column gives you certification and accreditation overview, certification for the company and accreditation for the authorized inspection agencies, right? So, and there are different programs you can see of certification and accreditation: boiler and pressure vessels, nuclear components, RTP vessels, bioprocess equipment, and so on, right? Including the personal qualification programs as such. And when you say start the certificate application, it takes you to a site which is, a CA Connect platform. It's a different site which has to be independent of rest of ASME. So Conformity Assessment Department has its this site called CA Connect, where it takes not much time for a company to file an application, wherein it has to give all the details about the product and applicability and all. So yeah, so it asks you to register your email address and then enter your. It gives you an option if you're coming to the site for the first time. Then it asks you to create a password. If you have been on the website, you would have your password as such. So, but if you don't remember your password, you can just click forgot your password, and then it comes to your email ID if you have registered with ASME. And registering with ASME is very easy. It actually is. Let me show you. Yeah. So you see the sign in and create account on the top right corner where I'm moving the cursor.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just click this and then just create a participant account. You don't need anything. You just give in your profile and then create an account. And then you can search a number of things on the ASME site. Yeah. So this is not a member account. This is a participant account. And then it has a lot of downloadable, resources. Like if you want to find interpretations to particular code, if you want to find some inspection agencies authorized by ASME, if you want to find test labs approved by ASME, you can just go in there and then see the addresses and all. You can also check whether a company has a valid ASME certificate or not. So, and then these are downloadable resources. You can just go and then get more information about the codes, different codes, and the guides on how ASME carries out these certification as such, right? So the kind of stamps which would be applied for which kind of certification, what is the scope? Like one of the things which we receive inquiries from many manufacturers are that I have this equipment, I want to go for ASME certification. What kind of stamp will be applicable to me? Which code will be applicable? Which code book should I refer? So this particular link gives you every information about each code as in terms of their applicability, and you can download this document and read at leisure as such. The PDF can be downloaded. Right beneath each of these checklists, or program information, there is a download link given over here. So the moment you press this, a PDF book, gets downloaded. So it's available right at the click of the button. Okay. So,
good.
have I answered your question?
Yeah. That is good enough. Only I just wanted to know one of the thing you have written, that personal certification.
Mm-hmm.
What is that exactly?
Personal certification is certification of individuals. That means I, as an engineer, can apply to ASME for certification of certain proficiency levels. So right now, personal certification offers GD&T proficiency tests. So I show you personal certification. Okay. And so GDTP, Geometric Dimensioning Tolerancing Professional. And this is right now the only professional certification which ASME has. So it has two levels, technologist level and senior level. And technologist level is meant for people. I was seeing on your, in fact, I was searching the IIPE website, and then I couldn't find the plant engineers website, but then I could find the productivity engineers website and all that. And then they were mentioning about Y14.5. So I was wondering that why plant engineers would be, concerned with the Y14.5, because it's unheard of being used in plant engineering context. So Y14.5 is primarily, for people who are into modeling or drafting. Erstwhile, we used to have, people in the drafting department who used to make the drawings, 2D drawings earlier. Today, we do most of the drawings on using CAD softwares, 2D as well as 3D modeling. So GD&T is primarily used by it's a designer's language. The design engineers use a standardized language to notate the drawings or title their drawings or write the dimensions on their drawing, assign dimensions on the drawings as such, assign tolerances on the drawing. So it's a whole skill or science to how do you go about assigning tolerances, and these rules are contained in 514.5. So people who want to be certified as professionals who have requisite knowledge to apply these dimensions take this personal certification. There are about 700 in all, about 200 or 225 senior level GDTPs in the country, and about maybe 450 or 470 technologist level. So technologist level will be people who will be in manufacturing, quality, supplier quality, production, but not necessarily design. There'll be designer also, but then usually designers go for senior level, because that's where the proficiency of assigning tolerances gets tested, and that's their prime role. Actually, one of the tasks they have to perform. Others have to just follow the drawing interpretations as such.
So who are the people who hire this type of experts? Suppose they are certified by you as a personal certification, then which this boiler industry or nuclear industry?
No, it's generally not seen. The GDTP experts are not in boiler or nuclear. They don't find much role over there, because here the tolerances are not in microns or sub-millimeter. Generally, these roles are more needed where you have precision tolerances or precision components. So aviation, aircraft, aerospace industry, space applications like ISRO or HAL, kind of organizations, or automotive industry is the biggest user of these skills.
Okay, that's good. So it's a very specific and very niche area, I feel.
Yeah.
Now just let us know how to become a member of ASME if somebody is interested.
Well, that's very simple. You just go on the ASME website and then and click ASME membership. So I'll just quickly share where it is appearing. So you see this on the menu on the top line, we have ASME membership. If you click this, it takes you to the ASME membership page.
So is it annual or sort of?
Yeah, currently it is annual.
Okay.
Yeah. So about professional membership. So that's the benefits page. And
Hello. Good evening, Mr. Sharma. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah. Good evening.
My name is Saloni. For your membership, in the chat, I have sent the link, so you can ask all of our friends and colleagues to check on that link.
That's great.
Okay, Saloni.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
that's
you're
great.
welcome.
So what is the annual fees, just for information right now?
So for India, the annual fee is $79, equivalent Indian rupees. You can just calculate. It would come to just
5,000 around.
multiply by 75. Yeah, it will be about that much into. So it will be about $6,000, 6,000 rupees approximately. Yeah. So that's for professional members. For the student members, it is $12. Yeah. But then for professionals who are early career, like they've just been 1 year into their profession, 2 years into their profession, there's a proration. We give them a lesser membership fee to join, because we know their paying capacity would be lesser as such, and then just helping them gradually ramp up to professional memberships as such. Internationally, ASME's memberships are double that price, about it's $158. So India and some of the other countries have been put as 50%. There are some countries in Middle East which are 25%. So it goes by region.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. So I want to just know, we had talked about that ASME mark on the, when you put a mark for identification, that ASME, what is the difference between, you said U mark, T mark? Can you just elaborate that marking?
Yeah, okay. That's what I was sharing. So U stamp is for unfired pressure vessels.
Okay.
So class one unfired pressure vessels would be stamped U. Class two, so class one means up to 150 psi, pressure.
Okay.
Yeah, the applicability starts above 14 bar. Right. So U2 is for class 2 vessels, higher pressure vessel, and class 3 vessels would be stamped U3. S is the stamp for the boilers.
Okay.
R is the stamp for repair and refurbishment procedures. Right? That's given by the national board. Piping would have PP stamp. Valves will have V stamp. So these symbols basically are equipment oriented, basically. Yeah.
Just tell me, to use this mark, you have to obtain the accreditation or certification.
Yeah. So mark is an outcome of certification process. So when a shop gets certified and its product gets certified, so it attains the ability to apply that mark on the plate of the vessel or the boiler.
It is a self-certification, or it's
no, it's not a self-certification. The ASME sends its assessors team to the shop to audit the entire shop and its product.
No. What I mean to say, you approve that workshop.
Yes.
And then they self-mark, or your people under supervision of your auditor only they can do it?
Yeah. So the process is, once you attain certification, then any stamped vessel that you will be constructing, there will always be a authorized inspection agency engineer who will be visiting the plant to supervise its construction. So as per the QAP, which is decided. So once the QAP is followed, and then the vessel is complete, then the data sheet is submitted to ASME, and then the vessel is stamped in the presence of the AIA engineer or AIA supervisor.
And what is the validity of mark? Somebody has asked the question in the question box.
The validity of mark is consistent with the validity of the certification. It's 3 years.
3 years.
Yes, and then ASME conducts annual, follow-up audit. Yeah, surveys. Yeah. They use the word surveys.
Surveys. Okay. We call it surveillance.
Yeah. That's
But
right.
the fees, what you said, for suppose some company obtains U mark, then the fees is for 3 years or for every audit they do?
No. ASME charges the fee on activity based. Like they'll first charge for the review process. Once
Okay.
the review process is complete, then for on-site assessment, they'll be raising the invoice. Then once the on-site assessment is complete, then certificate and stamps. Then follow-up audits. When the follow-up audit arrives, prior to that, the invoice is raised. So it is basically activity based. Yeah.
Activity based.
Yeah.
Okay. So I feel we have covered the basic information from you, and we can definitely ask the audience if they have any direct question. Mr. Deshmukh was asking on this. Deshmukh, can you unmute yourself and ask the questions directly?
Yeah. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
This is Deshmukh from Pune. I also work in Bureau of Indian Standard, and now I settled in Pune. I was a Jadhav sir, and we both are in the same office.
Yeah,
and
you can
as
call me
Jadhav said,
Madhukar. You can call me Madhukar. Don't call me sir.
no problem. So we are also having a undergone this type of certification, that LPG cylinder and seamless cylinders. So my only question to you is that actually we heard a lot of media or other when we visit the areas, some boiler accident took place or some blasting or something is there. In such cases, if the boiler or your U mark is there, what is the role and responsibility of ASME in such cases?
Well, the prime responsibility of the manufacturer who has to demonstrate that why and how the boiler failure happened, as such, and then the organization who's operating, that the operating conditions were not violated as such. So, and then definitely, if it is a stamped vessel, the vessel is registered in ASME register, and the report goes, and then the AIA and the team leader is assigned to investigate, do the investigation, and submit the report to whosoever is the information seeking authority.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, because we are also concerned with this OSHA and other things, no? Because we also go for that. Our BIS is also doing that certification, no? OSHA and other
Very
things.
rarely,
So,
these incidents happen in the past. So ASME keeps the record of entire, so like when you are, building a stamped vessel, the records, the quality records of each stage of construction of that vessel, including the material test reports and the treatment given to the materials, heat treatment charts, the weld penetration tests, and the other qualification tests performed on the weld, on the test welds, the test coupons. Everything is recorded, and then that file moves to ASME.
Oh, excellent.
So, there is a complete traceability to the history of that vessel before it is shipped to the customer.
That a redressal mechanism is always in place.
Yeah.
You said, Madhukar, that you will terminate the services if the fellow has retired. Then what action you will take? Some auditor.
No, I didn't say we'll terminate the services, but what I said was ASME will take appropriate investigation by assigning its team members as such. So, and if the shop is found violating or having a violation of compliance to the code, what it demonstrated in initial period or at the time of certificate, or when the last intervention was made, if it sees violation, then the certification is withdrawn.
Not the auditor who has done the audit.
It can be to the question can be to the authorized inspection agency auditor also, but that's something which comes in the jurisdiction of National Boiler Board, because they are the authorizing or accrediting agency for the personnel. The auditors get certified, the surveyors get their commissioning or their authorization to act as authorized inspectors from the National Boiler Board. Whereas authorized inspection agencies are accredited by ASME. So ASME will act on the agency, and National Board will act on the auditors as such. So they have an outreach to the auditor.
Okay. Sir, do you have any life membership?
Done in isolation. So this kind of a case flows into both the organizations. So ASME also looks at that. National Board does its independent assessment, and then they there's a joint committee process, and then that's how it moves. The investigation moves.
Mr. Garlani,
Mr. Sharma.
Yeah.
Do we have any life membership? Or is the member?
We do have life memberships.
So what you have said is only annual membership. So what is the cost of life membership?
So
once you become membership, what is the advantage of membership?
Now, so advantage is basically in the benefits as such, because you get a lot of content, you get a lot of network, and then you get a lot of opportunities to participate into ASME groups and group initiatives and programs as such, in a nutshell. So advantages mean differently to different people, actually. So it's not like I, as a member, will be able to take all the benefits, advantage of all the benefits. But then for example, my lineage may be more on the giving side. So I'll engage more on the committees. I'll engage more on the technical groups. I'll occupy leadership roles, as a chair or vice chair, of group to lead to certain goals for the group. Whereas some may have more value in downloading the committee conference proceedings, journal papers, for doing their own research. It helps them, accelerating their research or writing their own thesis as such. So and then some of them require it for the kind of library, access engineering library ASME maintains for the members. So it has a huge volume of technical books and data sheets which they use for their day-to-day work on engineering. So mostly the consultants would do that as such. You mentioned about life membership. Yes, life membership is available, sir. And life membership is kind of a prepaid, comes with a prepaid fee of about 25 years of membership. Of course, prorated to the net present value. So there's a way ASME calculates. It's lesser than the actual simple mathematics of 25 multiplied by 75. So that's.
Sir,
yeah.
I have a question that take for example, in the state of Maharashtra, most of the factories are working under the Factory Act, the Maharashtra Factory Act. Suppose there's an accident, there is an explosion of the boiler, then obviously the first person that is going to come onto a site is going to be the inspector, factory inspector, and they'll do a very deep study.
Correct.
In that case, do ASME team and Maharashtra factory inspectors work in tandem, or you all do independent investigation?
We haven't had any instance so far, so I don't know how it would happen. But then ASME is known to conduct its own independent assessment, which is on the procedures compliance to the ASME code. So ASME is certified that so-and-so company. I believe you are taking an assumption that the vessel was ASME stamped.
Yes.
So actually, why I say that is because some of the manufacturers who get ASME stamps, although we don't recommend that, but then some of the manufacturers would get ASME stamp. But then it is really their customers who would define whether they want an ASME stamped vessel or a vessel without ASME stamping. Now, this is kind of a trade practice. So
because what is
yeah.
happening is the Maharashtra inspectors, the factory inspectors, they will not, during the time of investigation, etc., will not recognize ASME or any other codes. Because when the factory was sent for the license, factory license, they have to give all the plant and machinery, etc., drawings and whatever is being used for getting the license, initial factory license, and every year it is renewable. So they will only look at one parameter, that is the machines and the plant that has been given during the time of a license, and they'll see whether that machine is passed or not. They will not consider, to my best of my knowledge, they'll not consider ASME or any other agency.
Absolutely. You're right. You're right. So what I was mentioning was whether ASME would work in tandem with, you had a question whether ASME would work in tandem with the local jurisdictional authorities. So I don't know that answer because we haven't come across any such incident as such over here.
Have you all ever thought of having a coordination or having a setup team by ASME and the state factory inspectors will have a team where you all can coordinate and share in more knowledge and information? Is there in a future dream of doing this?
We normally have interactions with the central boiler board and the state boiler boards. Some of the state boiler boards have invited ASME committee members to share knowledge about the ASME boiler pressure vessel codes, specifically section 1. It was done with Gujarat Boiler Board, it was done by TNEB with TNEB. It has been done over here with CII, when the Central Boiler Board was in coordination with CII in 2013, and then many, in fact, all the State Boiler Board chiefs were invited. About 8 or 9, I think around 11 boards participated in that. So time to time, these things do happen.
Suppose I import a boiler, for an example, from China, right? And I bring it to my country here in Maharashtra.
Correct.
Can I apply for ASME certification?
In China, yes.
No, I'm talking once the boiler reaches here in the final stage for the user.
The boiler has already been constructed. So
yes, that is what I asked.
You cannot get that. Yeah.
Okay, I understood.
So it is even before the construction starts.
Yeah.
Even at the so it's like as I mentioned, authorized inspection agency should have been employed by or contracted by the Chinese manufacturer.
Right.
Even before they started buying the material.
Right.
So that's the stage, the intervention starts.
Fine. Thank you, Mr. Sharma. I think I'm clear.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. We have with Mr.
I got all.
Yeah, Raghuram, please.
Yeah. I just wanted to know, you are told material can be downloaded. Whether this code books also can be downloaded?
No. As a member, no, they can't be. Code books need to be purchased. They are bread and butter of the society.
Okay. Now, can you tell me what is that in Section 8, Division 2? What is the latest edition available?
Section 8, Division 2, I'll have to check. I think they got revised last year only.
2021 edition was there. After that, any?
No. The 2-year cycle they follow. So next edition will be 23. Yes. Though there might be an addenda coming in between. But then it's done 6 monthly. But I have not seen any new addenda coming out.
But this addenda can be downloaded at least? No.
Yeah, if you have actually, purchased the any of the editions of ASME code, the addendas can be downloaded. Yeah. In fact, you would have ASME sends you the addenda rather you having the need for downloading it, because they have your details in the database as a purchaser of the codes.
Okay, so now see, as far as Section 8, Division 2 is concerned, earlier for UDS and MDR, one RP is used to sign. Now it is 2 separately has to sign. Do you have any idea? Because some of the people are the manufacturer, they are asking the separate PE.
Okay. No, I would not have a ready answer to that. I will have to lean on to someone from the conformity assessment to be able to answer
Yeah.
that. If you want the answer to that, if you can just write me an email, I'll
Okay.
just put this email, my email ID on the chat box, and
Okay.
I'll get you the answer to that.
Sure.
Please put it in the chat box. Yeah.
Can I ask one question? I mean,
Yeah. Please.
it's rather silly or childish, I will say.
No, that's okay.
See, the pressure vessel codes have been evolved to such a technically high level at the moment, and boiler also being a pressure vessel.
Yes, sir.
Why do we have two separate codes at all? Why boiler cannot be considered as a pressure vessel? Because in pressure vessels are operating at high temperatures nowadays.
So boiler is a pressure vessel, but only thing is it's a fired pressure vessel.
Yeah, that's right. How does it make a difference?
That's a question I think best answered by the people in the committee. Why would it happen? So maybe I can get you the answer to that. I'm not
So maybe see my thinking was when there were no pressure vessel codes, then boiler was probably the only pressure vessel, whether fired or unfired. As the things evolved, the process vessels have become such complex in their design and material wise, operating conditions and corrosive natures and everything. Steam is a much simpler fluid to handle, except the high temperature and maybe combined with high pressure. So it's not required. That's what my simple, you can say, like a child, the feeling is we don't need these two. I may be wrong.
I can at least raise it in some forum as a food for thought, and then see what reply comes, and I'll be happy to share that response to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay, we have Dr. Paine here. He is a doctor and he is a specialist, international specialist in vibration. And they have an institute called CVS, I feel. Dr. Paine, are you here? Can you unmute yourself? Yeah. Dr. Paine, yeah, please.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I was just telling Mr. Madhukar about you, that you have an institute now, recently it has been formed, Center for Vibration, CVS, no?
Council for Vibration Specialists.
Council for Vibration, correct.
On the background of Dr. Pine. Very good afternoon to you, sir.
So he is a IIP member also, a very active member. Do a lot of program jointly. You have any question, Dr. Pine?
So actually, ASME vessel, actually in ASME standards, I am very much poor. Only thing in NDT, other areas, ASME 5 and all, we used it. And NDT and about the pressure vessels, I had a one maybe 15 years back by Dadudara based some organization. I have forgotten the organization name. I think it is still there or not. But that document still I have with the ASME document with me. And all our engineer colleagues who are referring ASME, only that part, certainly, or sometimes a little bit related to the, actually in reliability management, we always consider this specification, but especially for vibration side. And this is actually in ASME, they have taken into another the standards and gone into another API standards. You know, most of the into the API, American Petroleum Institute. So even in static part, RBI risk-based inspection, other things as per the API 580, 581, they refer it. You know? So as far as ASME, we have not used much in standards. But actually, once I tried to be member, but looking into the yearly subscription, we could not afford that time. Maybe as an organization we can have now, but as a personal, it is too high for 5-6 every year 5-6 thousand in Indian price also, it is very high price to have a membership in that. So I request you that if membership, individual professional membership, it can be reduced. An appeal or a submission may be made to the organization that for Indian or Middle East people, they are less, either they can pay more. You know, $25 is nothing for them. For us, it is 59, something like that, you know, 59.
No, Middle East is not 25. 25, you must be seeing the student membership for Middle East. For India, it is $12 in comparison to 25. Middle East is more expensive. It is $127 for the professionals, because Middle East comes in the block of countries which have 25% reduction. They're being more prosperous than us. They have more paying capacity. India is 50% discounted, sir. But your point well taken. If you find the membership fee higher, then I can request a society for IIP members being users of ASME codes, and then having that I can work out a reduced fee for the IIP members.
That's good, actually.
That's good. Any other question? Mr. Deshmukh, you want to ask something? Saloni, you want to ask anything? Saloni has given the membership. Yeah?
No, Mr. Jadhav. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming and attending it. So,
My pleasure.
yeah. So, Madhukar, we had a very nice session indeed. It was highly technical. For your information, we have seen in BIS that there are some 18,000 Indian standards, and only people concerned or having the aptitude for learning from the standard used to buy it. And the sale of Indian standard was very less, and the revenue was also very less.
Correct, sir.
What BIS has done, they have made all the specification, Indian standard specification, free of cost. If people are interested, I can give you the link. That is the BSB Edge is there. From there, you can download free of cost. Any Indian, except SP, that is special publication, or IS/ISO standard. They are priced. Otherwise, all standard, because government wants that more and more people should make use of standard, rather than keeping it very costly, and then they will not say, okay, it is 5,000 rupees, why I should buy a standard. So they either use old one or obsolete one, and as you said, you revise every 2 years. That means every 2 years we have to buy a new standard. So that will, for a company also, it is very costly. So Government of India has taken a very good decision that anybody who is interested, even knowing what is the specification, they can just download. Like LPG cylinder is IS 3196. It may be not useful except the manufacturer, but other users can also download it and read.
Absolutely. No, absolutely right. Because government has the capacity to do that. They have, money. BIS gets wholly funded by the government. Unlike that, ASME is not funded by government or doesn't get any kind of a grant. So it has to fend it for itself. And the reason, why these standards also become, expensive comparatively in perception is because every 2 years bringing all the volunteers, about 4,000 volunteers into committee rooms, sitting into the hotels, and then writing the codes and changing them and all. That's what is and they come from all parts of the world. I'll just show you if we still have time. It's 5:50.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just show you the CS Connect. Basically, that's where the committees meet. Yeah, so this page, if you see, is Codes and Standards Committee Central. So this is a page which has all the committees of ASME. I can see this, and you can also see it's there on the ASME website. I'll show you where to find it. if you see over here where my cursor is, the text is turning to red. BPV committee on power boilers, right? So yeah, I believe you have executive committee, and then you have a Germany international working group, and then you have an India international working group, right? So that means these committees have working groups in India, countries like India also. That means there are engineers who are well versed with the code, and then who are practitioners of this code, who are a part of this committee, and they participate in the committee proceedings as such. And I just clicked the India IWG group. You see the chair is from India, vice chair is from India, and then secretary also from India. And these are the people not employed with ASME. These are volunteers working in different organizations who work with power boiler code. And they meet regularly to discuss on codes and standards as such. And then they annually are brought by ASME to discuss about these what all workings on the code, what all proposals came in, what kind of ballots or voting. So each proposal goes through a process of voting, similar to all standards organizations, how they work, and then consensus based voting actions happen. So since many of you I found have had tries with or working with or have practiced with ASME code, different kinds of ASME codes as such. So if you have an interest, then I would welcome you to initially just see and be there in the India International Working Groups proceedings, see, observe how they meet and how do they work on updating these codes, which enables ASME to bring these new code editions every 2 years with latest practices incorporated.
That's good. That's really a tremendous. But the only problem is, like Indian standards, they bring an amendment. Every 5 years, we make a new revision or reaffirm it. But every 2 years, if you want to download the entire standard, I feel that is the cost.
Hello.
So anyway, I feel Roy, can you hear?
Yes.
I feel the session went very well. There was a lot of
it was excellent. Very good knowledge sharing.
Very good knowledge sharing, and we really thank Mr. Madhukar Sharma.
I should thank you for giving me this opportunity to interact with you with the glitterati of engineers. And in fact, I'm so excited to see the kind of energy and then the kind of passion you are carrying to be connected with your core profession at this age. You're such an inspiration, and sometimes I would like to invite each one of you to interact with young students. We have a challenge with them today, because of the fickleness of the non-core, what we call as commonly known as coding. Our engineering institutes are providing bringing out more coding engineers rather than core engineers. That's a big challenge. One of the initiatives for us is basically making the engineers feel pride in being mechanical engineer, and taking pride of profession of engineering, and not relegate themselves to just coding machines. So so they should not lose creativity and responsibility and ethics of being an engineer, and delivering good to the society is what they are actually supposed to.
You correctly said there is a difference between code and marketing. A lot of people, engineers, MBA, they are selling now anything, like from vegetables to they are getting money in selling the items. So I don't know, when we were engineers, like my training manager used to tell, Mr. Jadhav, why your hands are so clean? Why don't you go and put it in oil? then only you will run mechanical engineering.
Absolutely.
That side of training we had, but today now we want one belt in our here, and we want to work on computers.
Yeah.
Maybe
They may
that
not be required to soil hands because the technology is getting so digitalized. Yeah. And but then they should not forget the tables by using the calculator. That's all I say.
So thank you all for coming here. Yeah, Dr. Paine.
One hand will come up.
Mr. Sharma, how are you located?
I'm located in Gurgaon, sir.
So I may correspond to you sometimes.
Sure, please do. I'll be happy to respond. Yeah, pleasure. Thank you, Mr. Jadhav, for inviting me.
Mr. Roy will propose a vote of thanks, formal vote of thanks, and definitely we'll have more programs like this in future.
Sure.
Yes, Mr. Roy.
It's an honor to raise a vote of thanks for Mr. Madhukar Sharma. Although he was one, that means he was a minority. We felt we were the minority when he took over. Sir, you have conducted an excellent session, and many thought-provoking statements were made by you. And we'll definitely visit your website and go through all the points listed over there, and whatever we can read out of it. Of course, most of us here, except Robert Sequeira, are on the 70+ side. But still, we feel young at heart. And we are glad that with fresh knowledge, fresh inputs coming from engineers like you, we feel enlightened. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. So we can close for the day. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I thought Saloni was part of that team from Mr. Madhukar Sharma.
No, she's our.
She's our Iipe life member.
Acha.
Yeah,
because immediately when she mentioned that, I thought that she's part of that team.
ये vibration में है.
Vibration?
हाँ, अपना ये मुकेश है ना?
अच्छा, vibration में है क्या?
Mukesh.
Okay.
But we have not met her sometimes, no?
Saloni
is a new member?
No, she is an old member, but she never comes on the office. She
was not active.
Recently, I have entered her in WhatsApp.
Only WhatsApp
she is in the live line. Earlier, she was not unknown to all the members.
But very good Masti group. Gangalani Sam, your Masti group is excellent by Jadhav and other things. You are all this, your Srivastava and other things, NK and everybody is enjoying.
Yeah.
Right,
correct.
Thank you, Jadhav sir, for organizing such excellent, and Roy and Robert, everybody.
Yes, Dr. Paine, you want to say something?
Yes. Actually, when I first introduced to Masti Group, I got a big slap from NK Sam. Listen, I thought, what is this Iipe group is going on like this? Then also some told, sir, please join here. That group is like that. Now I am also enjoying Masti group.
Very good.
Really good.
You need some recreation at this age here. Majority are retired.
Yes.
All senior citizens.
I understood now. I am totally learned and I have understood its path, and I am also enjoying. Sometimes I am also putting something. But again, sometimes I am afraid, will it be appropriate? Shall I get another slap or not? Post करने के पहले मेरे को 5 बार सोचना पड़ता है. Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Jadhav sir, thank you.
Thank you, Deshmukh. Thank you,
Jadhav sir. Thank you, and take care. Enjoy.
Yeah, enjoy.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Hello, Roy. I am leaving now.
Okay. Yeah. I'll end the session.
Mr.
I'll end it.
Chalo, bye.
Bye.